Hey, Kristen.
How are you, Hale?
Good, good. Thank you so much
Uh,
for being
like,
here and
don't worry,
perfect.
don't worry. You see me properly
And
now?
yeah, yeah, excellent. Do you prefer Dr. Holzman or do you prefer Kristen?
No, crazy, whatever.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it once again for your time and ability to meet here. I'm sure everyone that's going to see this recording live or be able to attend it live will certainly appreciate it. Um, just to get started, you want to talk and give, the whole community just a little bit of background information on, who you are and how you got into the saffron industry?
Okay. You want the true story or the nice story?
Whichever one you think's better.
I was, I'm biochemist. I was doing my PhD in molecular plant biology, and I had to write my thesis. So I do everything to avoid writing that. So I start to, and that's the true story. So I try to finding problems like in the farm where I grew up, where my family is from. So the broth, the cold, everything has changed. So basically, everything that the people used to grow there is it's not any longer available.
Mhm.
So we started looking for crops that were like very, very climate resistant and very in high profit, low in area. For example, so we search for a and very, very suitable for our weather. And we came up with saffron. And saffron was like the top of the hill, la guinda del pastel, decimos nosotros, like the cherry of the cake, like because it
Right.
was like everything fit perfectly. It was a winter, so you need a very small space. You have a high profit per square meter, and and everything. So we started working with that. We applied to government funds to start doing it, and we developed that problem.
Well, that's
That's how we
fantastic.
did it.
And just for everyone, you're in Santiago, Chile, right?
Yeah, yeah, we are. That was one of the main problems to do the saffron thing here, because like we are in the opposite season. Like you are going to fall now, and now we are going to spring.
Right.
So, so when the saffron in the northern season is about to die, we are about to bloom.
Yep.
So it's a bit confusing. That's because when I send the pictures in the, for example, in the group, like we're flowering and your saffrons are dying. Like you are about to harvest right now.
Yep. Yep. October,
Yeah,
November here,
yeah,
Southern
yeah,
Hemisphere.
yeah. We are about to collect the corms because they are
Right.
about to die, not die, but like you understand, like dormant through the summer.
Yeah, they're about to enter their dormancy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's fascinating. I think it's a great, journey that you've just described from, a very strong, you said molecular biology background and biochemistry, correct?
Yeah, yeah. No,
And
and we basically try to go. What's the thing about saffron? That the most of the like where this is not the US. Many people is not rich. Like they don't have many tools to survive the climate change. So we have to go
right.
simpler on them, harder on us. Like because we are like biotechnology, we know the stuff. So we try to do simple things that can be applied to everyone. Like go simpler. And saffron is perfect for that, in my opinion.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's such a beautiful crop, of course. I think that's why everyone's here in this community. It has so many advantages. Um, just as a quick background for yourself and for others, part of the reason I got involved into the saffron industry and really helping, support growers all around the world is, I saw it as a beautiful crop that has this low input, shoulder cash crop
Yeah,
opportunity. And,
I
in the
totally
face of
agree with
climate
you.
in the face of climate change, just as you're talking about in Chile, you have all this changing environment and you need to adapt. I saw it as one of the best crops to help farmers adapt and really bolster, especially
Exactly.
in the US, their crop portfolio and maybe diversify away from this monoculture. So
Oh, of course.
so I'm very
Totally agree with
curious.
that.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So I'm
also
very
we have a small advantage that we are a very long country, like for the for everyone else to hear. Like imagine Chile is like it's a narrow and very, 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 very long country. It's like going from the middle of Mexico until Alaska. So we have all the weather that you have along the coast. So the main point is what like, okay, saffron, you can cultivate it here now, but you don't know what's going to happen with the climate is changing. So we can move because it's another tree. So you can move, so you can easily adapt. And that's what we actually have done. Because for example, we moved to the south with the native people, with the Mapuche, because and we taught them how to cultivate saffron, and that's what we have been doing.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, have you found that as you move to different areas in Chile, that you're finding different, successful levels of success in your results?
Yeah, in some parts it's not that easy because they're very rainy and snowy and stuff like that. So you have to apply strategies to make the plants flower. But if a farmer follow my instructions, it's very greedy to say, but they follow what I told them, and they will flower.
Right.
And
so,
also we have I think we have a small a small advantage because we never had saffron before, so never in our story. So whatever you tell to the people, it's all they will do. So you have like a clean sheet, whatever, a clean
slate.
A clean slate to teach them how to do the things properly. That's a major problem. What I heard in countries that already are saffron producers, because change like generation and generation of the way to do things is very difficult.
Right. No, and you see all this literature that's constantly coming out, especially out of Iran, India, where, especially in India, you have all these issues with crop pest, and part of the reason is obviously the farm management techniques are so, passed down from generation to generation that they haven't changed and kept up with, a lot of the evolving science around the crop, right? So it's amazing to hear that story and journey of the Chilean farmers and how you've been helping them adopt the crop as well, with sort of what sounds to be the most optimal, methods of growing in Chile. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. Also, well, we take two approaches. Like we even conquered by the Spanish. Like we will have a relationship with them for 500 years, more or less. So if they didn't want to bring the crop already, they don't want to do it. So we stopped working with them and we started working with someone else.
Right.
So it was like, because if you think saffron is not like a big idea, it's like very straight up idea, like you have to do it here. So it's like, why no one has done it? That's also one of the first questions we ask ourselves, like why is Spain, the second largest producer of saffron, never brought corms here or the crop here?
And what was the answer you guys came across to that well thought out answer or question? Excuse me.
The real question is that we don't know. That's the real question, but we have some hypotheses. We think that it might be related to the fact that the corms are seasonal. So you cannot bring a corm from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere without suffering the corm, because because you are you're soiling the corms now. So if I bring corms from your side of the world to our side of the world, the corm will bloom, will flower, and will die very soon, because it will detect that it's in summer. That's because I got expertise on knowing how the length of the day, the temperature affects the corm, because that was the key to bring, and we fool the corm in some way and bring it here, like making think that they are still in summer for 6 months longer. and that's how we brought it. And that in that way we are able to grow like large amount of corms, like very, very cheap. So that was one answer. And the other answer is like, because mostly here things are done by big agriculture, and saffron is not for big agriculture. So no one was willing to invest so much to do it.
Right.
Because I read an article how they did it in Australia and in New Zealand, and they did it like in a slightly different way. They planted the saffron and they wait like 7 and 10 years to go to the cycle until it goes to the normal cycle that you should have in the southern hemisphere.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're trying to have the sort of climate adaptation, right, of the corm itself.
Exactly.
And that's fantastic. So it sounds like your background in molecular biology and biochemistry actually turned out to be a perfect match. Perhaps.
Yeah, because my PhD thesis was in flowering time.
Okay, excellent.
So how the transition from the apical meristem to floral meristem. So how all the conditions. No, it wasn't our original hypothesis, but like we came to that hypothesis, so have to study all of this. So that was useful at some point.
Imagine, yeah. All right, that's fantastic.
And we did the in vitro culture because we thought, okay, we are going to do in vitro culture, but it was like useless.
And so to kind of bring up your company, right, and help everyone get introduced to it. And if you don't mind, can you pronounce it for me? I have it in front of me, but I don't want to mispronounce the name.
It's Kelümilla.
Kelümilla.
Yeah.
Kelümilla. Yeah. So
it means like we were applying to the grant. I'm gonna be honest, like, and then I wrote the bylaws of the grant, and it was the night before, and we were finished the grant, and they were you cannot apply as a single person, you have to apply as a company. So I opened like a very fast company, and I put it like red gold in Mapudungun, that is the native language. That's all.
Okay.
It's the best I came up, and I really stick with that, and I like it now.
No, it's pronounced. I like the way it's pronounced. And so that was basically, it sounds like how you got involved as executive director was through this grant to help start, this entity up and really start the foundation, so to speak, of growing saffron in Chile, expand to other growers. So can you tell us a little bit about the company? Perhaps a little bit underpinnings of the business model and what Kelümilla is trying to do in Chile with saffron.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah. Like, can you help give us, the viewers and everyone, an understanding of sort of the business model of Kelümilla, and what is sort of the mission as far as it relates to the foundation, right, of establishing saffron across Chile?
Well, the foundation was the idea was to help like small producers to adapt, and that's still our motto. Like, we work with crops that will help small agriculture to adapt, not to adapt to the climate change, to mitigate the effects on them and climate change. That's the proper way to say it. So we are working with other crops now, but saffron is like our star because it's like the first that we develop and the one that is going well. So we have like a fully adaptation here, and basically what we do, we teach to the farmers, we teach them everything. We try to get the funds for them to buy the corms, the starting material, and then we sell it, and that's where all my scientificness is useless. Because now we have to build like a community, and we want to go to the U.S. market to sell there, because like this market here is very small. We're a small country.
Right. And so that's actually beautiful that you bring that up, because that's going to be a question I want to get to later on about the local market. But before we dive into that aspect of Kelümilla and Chile, you said that you of course are part of the mission and motto is to really help with mitigation to climate change with some of these smaller diversified farmers, right?
Yeah.
been the impact and story coming from a lot of these small farmers? I know you said earlier, you mentioned very briefly that, it's, you have some farmers that sound like they're like very, easy to help establish and teach them the methods. And then it sounded like perhaps there are some that are a little bit more resistant to adopting the methods properly. So what has been the experience so far, and what has been the level of impact?
No, at the beginning was a mess because you coming from the lab, because basically when I was doing my PhD, it was like, we are in front of a climate crisis, basically. Mm-hmm. So I feel that doing the things that I like in the lab wasn't enough. I wasn't helping. And I found that it was a strong, how you say, it's strong, like, I don't know how to say it, strong break in the knowledge and technology between the small farmers and the human knowledge. Mm-hmm. So I thought the best idea was to try to come up with something, or the way I can do, to reach them at a certain level. But coming from a lab, like, I don't know. When you tell them to do something, and you start to learning that the agronomists are very stubborn people. Sorry for them. You are also biochemist, no? You told me.
No. But I did my original research with this guy, Dr. Arash Galogol-Gabahani. He was one of the first pioneers at the University of Vermont's North American Center for Saffron Research and Development. And so I mentored under one.
That's in Michigan, no?
Vermont.
Vermont, yeah, Vermont. I read all of them. Yeah. Impressive that it grows in Vermont.
Yeah, and so my as far as my academic background was originally in environmental policy, and then psychology, and then finally I did a master's in nutrition and integrative health with a sort of concentration on herbal medicine. So it all kind of tied in beautifully. But yeah, so it sounds like there's a very interesting sort of connection between some of these smaller diversified growers and their willingness to adopt the crop. Have you guys been having any sort of understanding of the level of impact that you guys have been able to have positively on these farmers in the area?
Oh, yeah. Wait, I'm not gonna say, because some of them are still in process, but we have changed some, because like you have, like, especially in the south, in the Mapuche people, some of them are like, the agriculture is like very substantial. How you say it? Like, they grow things to live.
Yeah, it's for their subsistence, right?
Yeah, from their own subsistence. So when you teach them and you see that you can change their life, and you can actually like make him have like double the income that they have yearly, like you are actually doing something, and that feels very good. It's like,
that's
very,
beautiful.
Very good.
That's very beautiful.
Yeah. That's very beautiful. It's much more better than get a new paper.
I can imagine. Well, that's great. And so it sounds like largely.
But one thing that it was, but one thing, like I told you, like, we are used in the lab to do the things, the reasons, certain things. So you tell them, you say, oh, I'm going to do this, and the things are done how you say it. When you go to the farm, on the small farmers, like, they don't follow your rules. So you have to make sure in a very slow way to make a proper full transfer of the technology to them. Mm-hmm. Like, and you have to adapt certain strategies that I wasn't aware of, they even existed, to make sure that they can get what you need. And I'm very proud of that, because also they get, like, they didn't speak about bulbs, for example, they speak about corms, they speak about the dormation. So they got everything, but it was like, we have to develop a strategy to make sure you have a full translation of the technology to them. Even if it's very simple, but they have to do it right.
So I'm curious, and if you can, of course, speak to it, what are some of the strategies that you guys found were more useful or not as effective?
One of the main strategies was to have like a intercultural speaker. So someone from their side that also can speak with me. So it's a like kind of bilingual, not bilingual, but because they always speak Spanish, but it's a bilingual because they understand their culture and they understand how we do things. So he can speak both languages. And also a lot of classes, videos, like you send them through the phone. Like we use a lot of technology, like we are like spread all over the country. So basically we cannot go everywhere, especially because you cannot charge them because they're small producers. So we use like, oh, tell me what happened. Send me a picture, send me a video. What is this? How this? And so like be on top of them all the time. Like be for them, like if they need it. Like sometimes I'm very busy. So I tell them like, okay, if I don't answer you, hit me again. Like, I'm here for help.
Yeah, constantly bombard me.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's great. It sounds like
the problem is like now everyone wants to get involved in the saffron industry here.
Right.
But the problem is like if we don't have more sales, that like I always say before, like the small market that we have here is we cannot grow. Like it's irresponsible for me keeping people growing that we are not gonna able to sell the saffron that are producing. That's because it's our main object is now going to the US.
Right. So it sounds though like largely as a specialty crop, it's been a large success for Chilean growers, huh?
Yeah. Oh, like I wouldn't say because we are in like still in a small scale.
Right.
Right. We are producing. I don't know. We're producing like with a small producer. We're producing maybe like 5 kilos. I don't know how much. 10 pounds a year.
Yeah,
with the
probably
producers.
10.2, probably around there.
Yeah, something about that. But like it's like 10 pounds. So it's not a very large production. But if we want to scale up, we have to be able to sell them whatever they're producing.
Right. So what have been some of the biggest hurdles towards entering adjacent markets to be able to sell the Chilean saffron globally and of course in the United States specifically?
That's what we have to do now. Now we are doing like the understanding how the U.S. market saffron works, how the American market saffron works in reality, and tend to grow there. Like that's our current problem, like our current challenge.
Well, as a side note, you and I should certainly, chat also a little bit after this because I can certainly, help and support you guys with that as well. Recently, there's been are you familiar with Codex, CODEX?
What?
Codex. It's an international body that's sort of housed between the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, and the WHO, the World Health Organization, and they help set food safety standards across the board. And I was just meeting with the U.S. delegates to that committee, and just a few weeks ago, and they were telling. It was a meeting on how they are creating their own saffron standard, and part of the reason they wanted to create their own saffron standard that will both be separate from, distinct from, but also in some ways mirroring the ISO, right, 3632 standard. And part of their reasoning is that the ISO 3632 standard is quite expensive, especially when you compare it on a global scale for all these different producers.
I love it.
And so the U.S. Codex standard, the Codex standard is supposed to be, a lot cheaper than the ISO 3632, but also just as efficacious and evidence-based in terms of, the standards that they have for both quality and in terms of, purity of saffron. So it sounds like that's something that, in this specific case would be super useful. It's supposed to be coming online, I believe, next month and be published. I can certainly
that will be super useful because I really think that ESO in saffron is like it's a burden. Like it's extremely expensive. If you're starting, you have to do all the things. You have to spend like half or more of your production. So if your first or second production, you have to spend like half of the production. It's extremely expensive. in the laboratory, and also extremely expensive because it needs a lot of material. So you how you're gonna do it? Like it's like no sense. So it's like it's I understand that they develop a standard for everyone that works, but it only works for like very very big producers. Like what we do is like we pull out together because like that's because I like when you post this saffron falsification because like one of the main things of the industry is like falsification. And actually, when we got here, that some people told us, no, but we have saffron. The Italian migrants brought here saffron, and then, but that problem is not only for us, or I don't know for you, but like when I travel to Europe, like I do the saffron route, like every place in Europe that they grow saffron, and they also have a lot of small producers that have the same problem. Like you cannot afford that.
Right. Um, and you see it especially, I think, as far as the specific parts of the standard. I feel like you see it especially when it comes up to the quality determination, because, like you said, you have to let go of a good portion of your saffron, and of course, this
Yeah.
testing is not cheap. And then
No.
the adulteration
Yeah.
part testing as well. I can imagine because that's also HPLC as opposed to UVVIS, spectrophotometric system, right? It's also more expensive to run the chromatography machines, and so I totally understand. And you see this all over the world, especially in some of the areas where you don't have larger scale producers, and even in the U.S. you see the same thing where some growers, would love to test their crop, but
But they can't.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The best way would be like with the, I don't know. I remember like working with the mass specs, like the HPLC, but nano injection is HPLC, and try to do like after that the mass specs, and with a standard, and that will require a very small amount of saffron.
Yep.
But that technique will be very very expensive. So
yeah.
it will be very.
It's such a hard scale to balance, and I'm sure you're up to date with some of the literature here where, UVVIS, right, the spectrophotometric measurement doesn't accurately measure saffronol, and the standard to
No,
begin with doesn't grade saffronol well, right? And so you have these trans and cis isomers of crocin that usually are picked up at the nanometer rating that you're trying to measure saffronol at. Thus, it overestimates in many cases the saffronol content. So it's so unfortunate because it's a system where, the literature supports using HPLC or UHPLC for detection of saffronol. But again, like you're saying, it's such a cost barrier, and already the UVVIS is already pretty expensive to begin with.
Yeah, but
So
because you can have UVS. We did it with a nanotechnology, nano drop it's called. I don't know if you're familiar with that technology.
It's not nano
Like
drop it.
a nano drop is like a UV visible spectrum that you basically need that drop to make like the measurement.
Right. Okay.
The machine is not that expensive. It's like about $10,000, but it has the problem that you said. Like you have multiple peaks that you can see, and you can fail to properly address the problem of the quality. Like you have a false positive, you might have. But that's the thing. Like I think that it should be adapted to have and look for another peak that don't inter overlaps with other structures. That will be my way to go, because like I see HPLC is too expensive. Like that's my problem. HPLC is too expensive. Like HPLC is not expensive if you run it like I don't know. You run it like how much sample you will need to run like a normal HPLC.
It's usually in the milligrams compared to grams, obviously, for UVVIS.
But HPLC, milligrams, like, but with normal HPLC.
Yeah.
Because
Even
I remember I was using like nano injection of HPLC, because after that it was going to mass spec, and then you need like a few microliters. But if you need less than a ml, then it will be fine. You can do that.
Right. Yeah, usually with the HPLC, a lot of the literature supports using a diode array detector. So you usually have a, it's usually HPLC DAD, and you're good to go. But yeah, no, I was part of a research project where the researcher wanted to do UHPLC, which was even better in terms of um, accuracy, just because it's it performs
Yeah,
quicker,
yeah.
and so you get better readings as well. But yeah, no, just to get back on
No, because
topic.
like the most accuracy will be like HPLC mass after. So
Right.
then you have like a full accuracy, like because you can measure like a full peak of mass spectra.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
So
but it will be expensive.
yeah, of course. So I'll certainly make sure that the whole community and personally you as well receive the update and of course the certification from Codex when that comes out.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that
certainly
would be
think that'll
super.
help a lot of people out for sure. Um,
But I think it's like for saffron, it's not very difficult to get like the top quality.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm sure you're aware of, and was the focus of my research back when I was at the university, was really on dehydration methods for quality, right? And
Yeah,
so it's so unfortunate. I mean, I know the marketing team recently did a post a couple weeks ago, I believe, where we just want to remind folks that hey, after all this hard labor, you don't want to forego an opportunity to increase the quality of your crop, right? Your hard-earned crop, because at the end of the day, the dehydration method and storage methods usually are the bigger forces and factors that
yeah,
drive the quality markers, and of course the different phytochemical constituents and how much there are in terms of concentration is really a function of drying method. So actually, that might be a good transition here. I'm curious as far as Kelümilla, and the Chilean growers that you guys work with. Do you guys have a specific drying method that you guys deploy and that you'd want to share with the community?
no, we have like, that's the less homogeneous thing that we have done, like the drying method, because because every like at the beginning we teach them to do it with a proper dryer, like a food dryer,
Mm,
like a slow, like they do, but when they have too much saffron, they cannot fit it inside.
yeah,
So they start to doing things that like now we have to try how is the quality of those ones. For example, some people do it even in the microwave or in like in an
yeah,
electric oven or like in a what is this oven now? The fashion oven like the air fryer. Some
yeah,
people
yeah,
even
yeah.
do that. Like they do it very fast and it's very good quality. But the problem basically with the drying method is like the speed, because when you have like I don't know, you are collecting 2 kilos of saffron, it's like difficult to manage like drying like overnight all these things.
Right, right.
And at the
I think
beginning
that's
we are even drying the leaves and the like the leaves, the rest of the flower to be used. Like they use it like a tea or things like that, but like that they have to stop doing it because they have to use the whole machine to dry the
right,
saffron.
right. I think that's part of the reason why in a lot of these more traditional producing countries like Iran, India, Morocco, they tend to gravitate. Of course, also climate helps because it's super dry and hot, usually around this time, right? So they'll go with an outdoor drying method. But of course, in
Yeah, yeah,
certain
yeah.
areas like in North America, it's not going to
No,
work
you
because
cannot
it's
do
too
that.
humid and so on and so forth. Yeah. And of course, the literature does support that tends to be the longer time, lower temperature drying methods tend to lead to lower
Yeah, yeah,
quality saffron. So it's an interesting hurdle as well on its own. How do you manage bulk drying when you're, getting kilos of saffron and you're harvesting that much in a day or 2 days worth
yeah.
time?
Imagine you are getting like I don't know 10, 20 kilos of flour, and there is two people that have to do all the work, so they don't have time
Yep.
for like doing the picking. How you say? I don't know how you say the word in English. Like the picking of the stigma.
Oh
How
yeah, the separating of the stigma
the
filaments.
separating the stigma and the drying and all the
Yeah.
things,
Well, so
because
just
you have
interesting
to
that you
do
bring it up because that it's a good thing to keep in mind for our audience and for some of your growers, I'd imagine, who perhaps are lower lower scale in terms of how much saffron they're harvesting and growing, is the petals are, really emerging as a very phytotherapeutic part
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
flower,
very, very therapeutic.
and that is one of the parts of the flower where you could probably in a hotter, drier climate, if you're able to have enough room and lay them out in a sanitary area over enough space, dry them out just at climate temperature rather than putting them in a dryer, dehydrator or some other machine. And so just something to keep into account is I'm always trying to push saffron growers to really diversify, not just their crop portfolio, of course, but diversify their products, right? And so these
Yeah,
value-added products has been, just for everyone's knowledge, right? This is one of the biggest things in Iran that people have complained about, especially some of these United Nations organizations that have done case studies where the true value-added portion of Iranian saffron is being lost to other big players like Spain, where they're
yeah,
giving the spice at like a
yeah. They get all
wholesale.
the credit for that.
Well, and then one of two things happens, as I'm sure you're going with. One, the thing that you're probably talking about or thinking about is they'll market it as Spanish saffron. They obviously bump up the price. But the other thing is a lot of Spanish producers will take that spice and make products out of it, right? Make cosmetics, make herbal teas, and all these other things. And that usually goes for a
Yeah, yeah,
higher value added price than just the
yeah,
saffron. And of course, I understand that some growers just want to stay with growing. They don't want to touch other value added products, but that is certainly one way to really bolster, and for you, as you guys continue to come into or want to come into the US market, that's certainly something where the herbal and natural supplements markets in the United States is huge, and
yeah, yeah.
the
It's
amount of
huge.
attention saffron is getting is just amazing. um, and we're talking about from physicians all the way down to nutritionists and herbalists. There's a lot of attention going to saffron these
Yeah,
days, and it's
yeah.
going to continue to grow.
Food supplements, especially. We are
Yep.
working with food supplements with a cohort of like a very small cohort, a lot of like people with how you say uh, when they scramble, like when they shake a bit,
When,
when they
are you
put
talking
the
about
children.
are you talking about milling the saffron into powder?
Yeah, we are like because we are having more saffron that we can sell, so we are searching for other opportunities. And the people that have uh, like this disease when they shake the hands. How you say in English? I forgot the word.
When they what?
When they shake, when they have like problem with shaking.
Oh, you have like excess, you have surplus, you have excess supply. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, we give them supplies and they got like uh, a milder, the disease got lower. We don't know why. If it's like maybe because of the antidepressant option, anti-anxiolytic activity, or because it has something to do with the shaking. I forgot the word. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. Maybe it'll come to you later on. But yeah, it's an interesting landscape, and especially from herbal medicine side. I mean, I do certified nutrition specialist work. It's the board certification here in the United States, on the side. So I certainly see clients that benefit a lot from saffron, among other herbs, of course. Um,
Parkinson was
so
sorry.
what was that?
Parkinson.
Oh, Parkinson's. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, just as full disclosure and disclaimer for everyone here, we are not
No, no,
recommending
no,
any
no.
sort of.
We are not. No, no, no. We are. That's the problem. Like you have to be very careful when you say
Yep,
that you are working with them because you cannot claim that you're curing or doing something like that. Like
of
you
course.
can
Yeah,
only
yeah,
say that you are like trying to. That's because I said supplemental food, like something
yeah,
supplemented to natural to other traditional medicine. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, no.
totally
I'm
agree on
just
that.
no. I'm just giving a disclaimer for everyone here. Please talk to your primary care physician before trying anything.
Yeah, of course.
but
We
but
don't
yeah,
pretend to be your your physician.
exactly. Um, but that's great. So what is the demand like for saffron in Chile? I know that it's like you have all these other countries where they have traditional saffron based dishes. Of course, classic example, paella in Spain, boulanese in France, right? And so many other dishes across the board.
The truth is, like, we have a very, very, very little saffron culture here. Like, I barely knew saffron myself before I started doing the crop here. But it's growing as the food is grows and the people is more developed and try new food. And usually, for example, when I explain to people what is saffron, like everyone knows paella here. So they say, what you stain with yellow the rice of the paella, and they tell you, oh, curcuma. So it's like very, like, they really don't know how to do it. Like Spanish people, Spanish descendants, like Spanish descendants first or second generation, they will know, and Arab descendants also will know. Like we have a very big Arab community here, so they will know as well. But the rest of the people, they wouldn't know.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, we have like a very, very strong community of Arab people here, so they might know, some don't, but like it depends how long ago they arrived.
I was going to say, it's one of those things where, just north, right, in Mexico, they have a strong saffron consumption, and smaller at some level as far as the biggest producing countries, but they do have the small community of producing saffron as well. So it's, it certainly seems like it's working its way down the coast, right?
So they grow saffron in Mexico?
Yeah. I forget the numbers off the top of my head because it's been a while since I looked up the United Nations figures, but I think, and don't quote me on this number, but I think it was in probably a couple tons, maybe range.
A couple tons? No, that's not a lie.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know what the problem is? The problem is that Iran have problem with the US. So basically, they bring saffron to other countries and they package like their own to pretend it is, so they can sell it in the US.
It's very possible. That's certainly
yeah. Like if you search, like we are doing like, of course, Iran is like the big elephant in the room. It's like 95 to 98% of the producer in the saffron market. But if you, for example, go to many online stores, they will never say that it's Iran, unless they say Persian. That's the maximum they say, Persian. But if you go deeper on that, they will say that it's from Afghanistan.
And so let's just see real quick.
And also, I have a question for you. You are from, you are Persian. Your family is from Middle East, or
my parents are originally from Lebanon.
Yeah, but like the saffron industry is also suffering here for the climate change. Like the crop is going down. No, that's what I read, but I'm not sure.
In the Middle East, or
in Middle East. In Spain it is, because I can read Spanish, but I cannot read Arab.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, we have one grower actually on this community that's growing in the Bekaa Valley. It's a valley between Beirut and Syria. In the middle there, and so certainly, the effects of climate change have been, harsher there than in some other areas, for sure. So it's certainly something that helps them adapt and mitigate, as you said, right? And just to give everyone the number here, Mexico, in terms of, I unfortunately don't have the producing numbers in front of me right now. I have to dive into literature, but in terms of selling, they are selling. They own 0.4% of the market share of total saffron sales, and they're grossing around in 2022 15.3 million from sales of saffron. So as Cristián said, of course, that could be from purchasing saffron elsewhere and then bringing it back in, or some level of production internal of the country. But yeah, I would certainly look into it if you're interested, Cristián. There's certainly a growing community in Mexico as well.
Because it's the same that happened with with Spain. If you search for the data, Spain is the bigger importer and the biggest exporter of saffron. So you see something is going on there.
Oh yeah.
So
Especially when
it's
you,
like,
especially when you match it to their production, which has been
yeah,
following
yeah. When you
since
match
the
your own
1960s.
production, you see that Spain is the biggest importer and exporter of saffron. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know about Mexico, but like,
It was a surprising one to me when I read about it both in the peer-reviewed literature and then on, United Nations, Abraham's Wiki and so on and so forth. The UN Common Trade is the big one. But Kristen, just to respect, of course, your time and make sure we get to just a few of the other things. I know, I had 3 pages of notes here. I knew we weren't going to get to them all. And just to make sure we get into perhaps one of the bigger topics that I'm
we can do
sure
this another time.
I would love that as well. But just so we can make sure we get to this one big topic, and I literally mean big.
I can explain you about the picture. Like, if you have a question, you can write it to me in the chat. Okay? Because I have a meeting. So, like, how we got the corms, I think we do a lot of things to get big corms. Like, for example, we try to do like a fertilization in early spring. That will be like for us is September. For you will be March, I think. Like when yeah, it will be March before spring starts. Proper spring, we do a proper fertilization. We add a lot of calcium, but the main factor of the saffron is the depth that you plant them. Like if you plant them too high, you're gonna get too much corms, but too small. So you want to get like a balance between the number of corms you get and a proper size, and that's how we do it. Like because like the UV light, it tends to awaken the meristem of the corm. So the further you go up, the UV light is goes stronger on the corm, so it's waking up more like lateral buds. And when you get more lateral buds, you can have, I don't know, 15 corms per corm, but that's going to be like a very, very small corm. Like the soil is important, the water is important, and also like the depth, it will help you to go through the 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 hard winter. Like if you have a frost or if you have a draw, like the depth you are, it's going to be better for the corm. So I think like for everyone they're wondering, like the soil and the depth of the corm will be like the most important things. Like have a proper matter and have like around 15 centimeters, like first year corm, and trying to like then rebuild like the land that is going down after that. That will be like my I don't know how deep you plant the saffron. Is it fair for planting depth depending on the end goal? Yes, it depends. Because if you want to leave it in the, usually we go from 15 centimeter. That will be like I don't know inch, but like if you want to have a bigger corm, I will go for 20 centimeters. Like if you want to have like a really nice corm, because in that way, if you put it 20 centimeters, you're gonna have probably only one corm per corm. So you're gonna get like 1-to-1. So only the apical meristemi will sprout. So and then you will have like one daughter corm per mother corm, and that will have like all the resources of the plant in that one corm, and then you have like a very big corm. But that's not ideal because you're not increasing your number of corms. So the ideal is like 15, between 12 and 15 the first year. So then you get like between 3 and 4 corms per mother corm. That's the main thing that we plan. Ah, okay. Yeah. 60 gram form. Yeah. It was pretty big, that form. And it's not that unoften to get it. Like we get it like, that was pretty big, but it was normal for us to get between 55 to 60. So it's not like very, very, very like strange when you have like a proper depth. Also, what else we do? We usually that can be also that when it starts going spring, we start watering the corms, because like here we have like mainly rain during the winter. Like it's very, very winter specific, the rain in the country. So we don't have like any rain during the summer. So when you start to go into spring, the rain starts to go slowing down very, very fast, especially now with the draws. So to keep because the temperature is what makes the corm go to dormancy. So what we try to do is to keep it wet, so you go down in the temperature of the soil. Like you need to try to get the corm live out to summer the more you can get. Through like the further you go to the summer, the bigger the corm will be, and then you will have a higher ratio. That will be like, it's not much of a secret. Like you can do fertilizing, you can do everything, but that will be like you have to use the plant in your favor, basically. Like stay out of dormancy the most that you can. Like for example, once we try to put shadow over the corm during spring, yeah, shading like with 80% or something like that, and with that we got bigger corms, but that is not possible to do it in like a large scale thing. Like for example, I'm always against cultivating saffron on greenhouses, because greenhouses rise up the level of the temperature. So if you rise up the level of the temperature, your corm will die earlier. Yeah, unless you're in extreme cold condition, but we went deep south to Patagonia, where like we have like very south, and if you put deep enough, it won't be a problem. That we have like in the deep south, it will be like very extreme weather, like, and the corm resists very well. Like I think in that case, you that I saw your message from the guy from Alaska that you told me. Like I haven't seen it because I wasn't signed in the app. And I think there are another strategies that you can avoid increasing the cost of the saffron production with the greenhouses. Like you can have like, for example, you can add the temperature to the soil. For example, adding a mulch of something that is decomposing, that will be like very much useful for increasing the temperature of the soil, instead of going into a greenhouse. Yeah, thank you for the invitation. Yeah, I have another meeting now, so I gotta go. But if another time you want to have like another conversation, I'm open to do it. Like very, very happy. No problem. Take care. Bye.